Texaco Star Theater, presenting Music for America, starring James Melton.
The promised kiss of springtime that makes the lonely winter seem long. You are the breathless hush of evening that trembles on the brink of a lovely song. You are the angel glow that lights a star. The dearest things I know are what you are. Someday my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are mine.
With James Melton, the Texaco Star Theater brings you Broadway's brand new star, Joan Roberts, Al Goodman's Texaco Star Orchestra and Singers, and yours for proper care for every car, Jimmy Wallington. Texaco dealers from coast to coast remind you that an ounce of prevention can save a ton of car. By prevention, I mean regular, systematic care and lubrication the thorough Texaco way. Make sure that your car is ready for service, not ready for the scrap pile, by seeing your neighborhood Texaco dealer regularly. And now back to the star of the Metropolitan Opera, the concert stage, and the Texaco Star Theater, James Melton.
Thank you, Jim, and good evening to you all. This old Georgia boy has been doing some tall traveling, ladies and gentlemen, since our last session here in the Texaco Star Theater. Said getting around, being a round trip, New York to Colorado in return, to fill a couple of concert dates in Denver and Colorado Springs. I've seen a lot of country and talked to a lot of people, and I'm mighty pleased to report that Mr. and Mrs. America are putting plenty of stuff into the job of winning the war. They've helped muss up old Muscle, and they're aiding our boys in hanging some husky haymakers on Hitler and Hirohito. But they're not getting any ideas that the rest is just a pushover and that the war's as good as won. No, sirree, they're hitting the ball harder than ever in their war jobs, their war duties, and their bond buying. Because Mr. and Mrs. America know that there'll be no peace with the Axis until we've taken the Axis to pieces. Oh, well, so much for words, and now for some music. Here's a grand old popular song I think you might like. It's called Midnight in Paris. All right, Al?
Sweet is the madness of midnight in Paris, chérie. Hearts are young, love is free. Oh, you share it with me. L'amour, l'amour. The hearts are in danger at midnight in Paris, chérie. What's to be is to be. What you share of with me. The moon is gold, my heart is bold. A throbbing voice within me calls, and I must obey. Midnight in Paris, a strange delight steals through the night. I hear the sweetest music, and oh, what does it say? Midnight in Paris lives, romance and love. Sweet is the madness of midnight in Paris, chérie.
My young love is free. Won't you share it with me?
L'amour, l'amour. The hearts are in danger at midnight in Paris, chérie. what soup is to be. Won't you share of at midnight in Paris, love calls us, and we must part.
Thank you. And from midnight in Paris, we return to this evening in New York. And a plenty pleasant person to spend an evening with, Miss Joan Roberts. How's things been going here in the big city, Joan?
Just fine, Jimmy. What was new out in Colorado?
Oh, Colorado was in a sort of a state, Joan. Everywhere I went, the folks would come up to me with their hands on the shooting irons, and they'd say, "Look here, partner, how's come you always talking about that Joan Roberts gal being from Oklahoma? Why don't you ever give a plug to Colorado?"
Those western states are certainly jealous.
Yes, sir, the shore for sorting ore, honey. But I fixed everything up for you. I explained that the Oklahoma you are from isn't a state, but just about the best musical show on Broadway. And what's more, I told them I'd prove it by having you sing a song from the show. Can do?
Absolutely can do. How about People Will Say We're in Love?
Well, fine, Joni. That's the first song you sang with us on our first show. And since then, it's become one of the biggest hits in the country. Reckon I could join in with you a little bit, my handsome girl?
Now, Jimmy Melton. Don't throw bouquets at me. Don't freeze my hopes too much. Don't laugh at my jokes too much. People will say we're in love. Don't sigh and gaze at me. Your eyes are so like mine. Your eyes mustn't glow like mine. People will say we're in love.
Don't stop collecting.
Give me my rose and my glove.
Sweetheart, let us working things. People will say we're in love. Why do they think up stories that link my name with yours?
Why do the neighbors chatter all day behind their doors?
I know a way to prove what they say is quite untrue. Here is the gist, a practical list of those for you. Don't praise my charm too much. Don't look so vain with me. Don't stand in the rain with me. People will say we're in love.
Nice going, Joan. And now let's you and me sit the next one out and hear a clever novelty from Al Goodman and the orchestra. Al's taken the great war song, Coming In on a Wing and a Prayer, and he's dressed it up in the musical styles of a lot of countries. What it amounts to is a musical trip by air, halfway around the world, with stopovers in Russia, Latin America, Tunisia, and the good old USA. All right, Pilot Goodman, take off when ready, sir. So much for coming in on a wing and a prayer. And now for Jimmy Wallington, who's coming in with a very inquiring look. You want something, Junior?
Well, I've heard that you sometimes find items for your collection of old cars when you take trips around the country, Jim.
No.
Yeah, did you buy any old cars out in Colorado this time?
Nary a one, Jim, my lad. Didn't have any time to go poking around junkyards and barns this time.
Oh, you find old cars in barns?
Many's the time, Mr. W., that I've bought an old junker with a hatching of eggs in the back seat and a rat's nest in the carburetor. But on the other hand, I sometimes find an antique that's in perfect condition. Just a couple of weeks ago, I bought an old 1923 air-cooled junker that looked and ran as if it had just come off the assembly line. Of course, that's only natural because that car belonged to a doctor.
Well, doctors give their cars the best care, I know.
Every time, Jim, and I'll bet you know the reason.
I certainly do. Doctors realize the value of preventive medicine, the treatment that stops trouble before it can start. And that's exactly what regular Texaco care is, ladies and gentlemen. Service that's planned, gentlemen. Service that's planned to prevent excessive wear and keep your car running well and economically. Just as it's wise to see your doctor for a regular physical checkup, it's smart to give your car a regular Texaco checkup, plus Marfax chassis lubrication and regular changes of insulated Haviland motor oil. So see your neighborhood Texaco dealer.
Cachés dans cet asile où Dieu nous a conduits, unis par le malheur, durant les longues nuits, nous reposons tous deux, endormis.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And that brings us to my little singing partner, Joan Roberts. You got something pleasant tucked away in that little blonde head of yours there, Joni?
I've got a very pleasant tune, Jimmy, called In the Blue of Evening.
Well, coming from you, that's just about the fondest thing we're of, honey. Can we have a little listen?
In the blue of evening, when you appear close to me, dear one, there in the dusk we'll share a dream reverie. In the blue of evening, while crickets call and
the blue of evening, night winds above, whispering I love you. There we will find romance in the blue of evening. There 'neath the starlit sky, you'll come to me. In the shadows of the night we'll stand. I'll touch your hand and then, softly as you'll look the eyes entreat, our lips will meet again. In the blue of evening, night winds above, whispering I love you. There we will find romance in the blue of
That's fine, Joni, but don't go away, because we've got some music coming up that I know you'll want to join in on, you being a little Irish Colleen. It's a medley of grand old Irish tunes from Al Goodman's Texaco Star Orchestra and Singers, you and me and the lot of us. Has anybody here seen Kerry? K-E-double-L-Y. Has anybody here seen Kerry? You might have seen him passing by. Sure, his hair is red, his eyes are blue, and he's Irish through and through. Has anybody here seen Kerry? Kerry from the Emerald Isle.
Sure, a little bit of heaven fell from out the sky one day and nestled on the ocean in a spot so far away. And when the angels found it, sure it looked so peaceful there. They said, suppose we leave it, for it looks so peaceful there. So they sprinkled it with stardust just to make the shamrocks grow. 'Tis the only place you'll find them, no matter where you go. Then they dotted it with silver to make its lake so grand. And when they had it finished, sure they called it
H-A-double-R-I-G-A-N spells Harrigan. Proud of all the Irish blood that's in me. Divil a man can say a word agin me. H-A-double-R-I-G-A-N Harriganuc is a name that a shame never has been connected with Harrigan. That's me.
When Irish eyes are smiling, sure it's like a morning spring. In the lilt of Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish hearts are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. And when Irish eyes are smiling, sure it will fill your heart
Whenever you think of your car, add one letter and think of care. For regular care is the only way to keep your car delivering your essential wartime transportation. And for regular care, nothing's wiser than your Texaco dealer's stem-to-stern checkup. Not just lubrication, but expert attention to tires, battery, radiator, and every other danger point. See your Texaco dealer regularly.
This is James Melton, folks. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves as much as we have tonight, and I trust that you'll get together with us next Sunday evening for some more of the same. That's an invitation from all of us, Joan Roberts, Al Goodman's Texaco Star Orchestra and Singers, Jimmy Wellington, and me. See you Sunday.
Texaco dealers from coast to coast invite you to hear Music for America with James Melton in the Texaco Star Theater each Sunday night and to drive in at any time. Remember, you're welcome. This is the Columbia Broadcasting Service.
Beginning this Tuesday, the Mrs. Goes A-Shopping with John Reed King will be sponsored every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday by Sheffield Farms Company, Incorporated.